Jim Crockett Promotions presents Ric Flair's Last Match, July 31st at the Nashville Municipal Auditorium. StarCast Weekend in Nashville, bringing wrestling companies together for one of the most unique cards ever assembled. Main evented by Ric Flair's Last Match. Tickets are on sale right now at RicFlairsLastMatch.com, and you can catch the show live streaming on pay-per-view and Fight TV for only $34.99. Ric Flair's Last Match. Walk in that aisle one more time for the last time. StarCast is presented in part by ProWrestlingTees.com. T-shirts designed and sold by over 2,500 pro wrestlers. By Lenny Bakken, certified financial planner. And by Powerbomb Pizza. Pizza crafted and sold by pro wrestlers. Powerbomb Pizza, powered by Kitch Data.
Are you feeling stuck making minimum payments on your credit card debt? SaveWithConrad.com can help, and you don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket to do this. NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Oh, and did I mention no house payments for 2 months? Get rid of your credit card debt and lower your monthly payments right now at SaveWithConrad.com.
JR, how are you, man? Man, they pissed me off. Inferring I have no passion, phoning it in. Are you shitting me?
It's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to JR with the voice of wrestling, Hall of Famer, Mr. Jim Ross.
Goddamn layovers, you jump their little balls would not fit just them. It's play Friday. Come on. You need to pull your head out of your ass.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Grillin' JR with the voice of wrestling, Mr. Jim Ross. Jim, how are you, man?
I'm good. Now, who are you? Oh, you're Conrad Thompson.
I used to be here all the time back in the day.
Back in the day, we had a great show, and we still do. Conrad is the busiest man in sports entertainment, pro wrestling, or whatever you want to call it.
Well,
and he is getting ready for StarCast. This is the weekend. I can't wait to see the success it's going to achieve. And based on what I've seen, I can't wait to watch it on Fight.
Yeah, you can watch it on Fight. You can watch it on satellite. You can watch it on cable. Of course, we're talking about Ric Flair's Last Match. It's this Sunday. You can find out all the information. Watch episode 1, 2, and 3 of the documentary that built towards this event at RicFlairsLastMatch.com. And over there, you can get all the details about how to buy tickets to join us in Municipal Auditorium there in Nashville, how to do meet and greets with Rick. You can even get yourself scanned and create it into a 3D figure with you and Rick, or even enter a raffle for charity to win his robe. All things Ric Flair are RicFlairsLastMatch.com. But we know now the main event, it's the Nature Boy Ric Flair after a pretty brutal beatdown from Jeff Jarrett.
That was a hell of a video, man. That was graphic.
Yeah.
Strong. And that's probably the most heat Jarrett and Jay Lethal have had on them since who knows when. It worked.
Yeah, and that Jeff Jarrett, I think you and I are going to be more aligned on him these days. I guess this is the point where I say, Jim, I was wrong. But I'm looking forward to the match because I think Andrade is coming into town with some eye for an eye shit. And I think Jeff Jarrett's going to pack a lunch that day.
Yes, it'll be good. But all four of those guys, there's no reason. I mentioned this to you off air. There's absolutely no reason that main event shouldn't be outstanding. You got four guys that know what they're doing. I'm hopeful they know why they're there. And so I have every hope and every expectation this is going to be a kick-ass main event.
We're fired up about it. I hope you guys will join us. It's all a part of StarCast 5. If you're within driving distance, you should certainly make your way down to Nashville. We're kicking things off with the Roast of Ric Flair. We got Black Label Pro and Game Changer Wrestling both in on Friday. Saturday, it's a who's who for meet and greets and panels. We've got a Horseman reunion on stage. We've got Claudio Castagnoli on stage. We got Bryan Danielson on stage. And we've even got Bret Hart talking all things SummerSlam 30 years later.
Wow.
Sunday, another star-studded event. And then we cap it off, man. RicFlairsLastMatch.com. Check it out. And it's available everywhere. If you want to watch all those panels and you can't make it to Nashville, no big deal. Fight has you covered. RicFlairsLastMatch.com. But the reason we're here today, Jim, is to talk about the next big thing, Brock Lesnar. And of course, that's the way he came into this deal. But this weekend, he's in a stadium show again with Roman Reigns. It's become the go-to match. He is a box office attraction, and it all started July 12th, 1977, recently turning 45. Born in Webster, South Dakota, grew up on his parents' dairy farm, starts amateur wrestling in high school, and very quickly shows, boy, he's got the aptitude for this. Places third in the state championships in his senior year. That's something.
You sure it's his senior year?
I think so. Was it not?
Well, I thought he won it.
Well, I do know that he went to Bismarck State College, and he won the NJCAA heavyweight
National
championship.
Junior College Athletic Association. So in JUCO, he beat them all.
Yes, and then transferred to the University of Minnesota,
where he beat them all.
Yes,
he was a national champion there too, and that was a deal that Jerry Briscoe and I made with the head coach at Minnesota Wrestling, and I can't remember Jay's last name. He's a hell of a coach there. He's been a coach there forever. I apologize for that senior moment, but I was ready to sign him right away.
Really?
I didn't need to see him his senior year. I was ready to go. I got a check for you. Let's go.
Jay Robinson. So you're thinking
Jay Robinson. What a nice man. And he was so important to our recruiting of Brock. He knew that Brock was the cornerstone of his team. He knew that if his team had a chance to win the national championship, one of the reasons would be that Brock would win the heavyweight division, adds more points. It's the main event, shall we say. So we made a deal, one of those closed door deals with Jay. And I didn't even tell Vince this, because he would have said, "Oh, no, that don't matter. Give him more money. He'll come." Well, he was ready to come with the money I offered him, or we talked about. He didn't get an offer. And then all of a sudden, we make this deal, help Jerry, and help Jay, and quite frankly, it helped Brock maturity-wise to stay in school another year. He stayed in school another year, and he was a national champion. He was the best in the country at a heavyweight in college wrestling. So Jay Robinson was a big, big part, along with Jerry Briscoe. Of course, Jerry Briscoe was invaluable to the process of recruiting and babysitting, for lack of a better term, Brock Lesnar in the recruiting process.
I love hearing old stories about Brock Lesnar, especially in his collegiate run. I think you said he won the championship in 2000. He got the runner up in 99. I just think that's cool that when you hear of a guy who gets runner up and then comes back and wins it the next year, that says a lot about the athlete's mentality, does it not, Jim? It's almost fight or flight. Like years ago, Chael Sonnen just dominated everyone in MMA. And then for whatever reason, he would get to the last round and lose by a rear naked choke every time. There was some sort of mental block that kept him from finishing those fights, whether it was Anderson Silva or whomever.
Right. He should have beat Anderson Silva. Had him beat.
Oh, for sure. And we had never seen Anderson like that before, but what do you know? He fell victim to the same move that he had over and over. Yeah. And he went to a sports psychologist and worked on it and got better. And I loved his speech he gave once on Ultimate Fighter, where he says, people say that failure's not an option. And he says, no, failure is the most readily available option.
He's right.
Yeah. And I just love that perspective. But when you read here, hey, he came in third in high school, and then he won the JUCO, and then he goes to Minnesota, and everybody expects big things, and he gets runner up. Man, it could go either way there. And he came back and won it the next year. It says a lot about Brock.
It does. You're right. And a runner up ain't no disgrace.
No,
runner up's no disgrace. So, but he was the cream of the crop without a doubt. And I don't even know who the runner up was. That might be a good trivia question, or the winner was, but we know who the winner was the next year. Well, he just dominated. And that's what Jay Robinson knew. He said, this guy will get better. He'll have more confidence. We think he'll win the national championship. And if he does, it will help us to win the national team title if we're in that hunt. And so that's kind of how that played out. And he finished off his college career like a champ. Just what he was. And I saw him on TV. Briscoe had been scouting him, and Briscoe knew about him from JUCO. Then I fell in love with him like Jerry did. And so we were just recruiting the shit out of him, phone calls and how you doing and all this stuff. But he was ready to go after his junior year, after winning the runner-up in the national championship. So, but we kept our word, and it was the best deal we made. It was the best deal for Brock, and it was a favor to a guy that helped us recruit, who already, as we talked about earlier, he's going to be the main event in a major stadium pay-per-view this weekend.
Yeah.
So it worked out well for him too. So I don't know who lost in this equation. Seems to me like everybody had to come out on the winning side, got their hand raised.
Well, it's interesting to go back and think about. As soon as he does that, he immediately signs this deal with you guys, July of 2000. Of course, he was purposefully waiting until he won the NCAA title. And as the legend goes, Jim, WCW and New Japan had both shown interest in him as well. Was that on your radar? Had you heard that other folks saw what you saw?
Well, I hope they'd be smart enough to figure out. You see a picture of him, you're going to be interested. You see a video of him, you're going to be interested.
Yeah.
So I wasn't surprised, but I did not know their level of interest, nor did I know their level of engagement. I knew our level of engagement. We were in touch with him all the time, just like you would, just like Alabama would or Oklahoma would, a 5-star recruit. You don't go a week doesn't go by where you're not in touch with that recruit.
Right.
In some shape, form, or fashion. Might be a call, might be a text, might be a card, something. So we were not going to let him get out of our range of consciousness, and he ours.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what's next. Of course, we know that there's been some footage that's leaked out there. Doug Basham, Danny Davis, Dean Malenko, and most notably, Brad Rheingans are all involved in some early training and introduction into wrestling. It feels like whenever we talk about those boys from up north, Brad's name always pops up, and here it is again, seemingly a generation later for a whole new crop of talent.
Yeah, he's Brad Rheingans is a great trainer, had that amateur background that a lot of the other amateurs coveted and respected and would listen to. So I think Brad did a great job in helping with a lot of the fundamental things with Brock. You know, we all have to remember Brock Lesnar is a phenomenal athlete. I mean,
right.
There's not a lot of guys like him. 6'3", 280. He's NFL. He checks every box, pardon me, in the NFL scouting thing. Size, he could run like a deer. He was quick. He wasn't clumsy. He just didn't have any wrestling background. He didn't know, he didn't know who Luthez was.
Right.
He didn't know who some of those cats were. So, but he picked it up. But he, basically speaking, and athletically speaking, more specifically, Conrad, Brock was a freak of nature.
Yeah.
And he still is at 45, 40.
Yeah. Just turned 45. Yeah.
So, and to me, don't look 45. I don't look 45. I forgot what 45 looked like, by the way.
Well, yeah. He looks like $1 million though.
Yeah, he does.
So let's talk about, what's next here. Before we do though, I want to mention, I learned that him and Kurt Hennig became really close friends away from the ring. I could see that. I think those guys both like hunting and fishing and
Minnesota
outdoorsmen. There you go.
That's a connection.
Okay.
They both lived in Minnesota where they could facilitate all their other non-wrestling interests like hunting and fishing. And,
how do you keep him on this trajectory, I guess is what I'm trying to figure out. Cause you sign him in July. It's not until fall when he shows up for developmental. So in the meantime, are you helping him connect these dots or is he doing it on his own?
Well, we're helping him.
Okay.
Yeah, we're helping him. And he's a good, he did a lot himself, but quite frankly, like you suggested, him hanging around Kurt he can get some psychological pointers and they'll do this, or baby faces don't do that, or heels don't do this, whatever it may be. But Rheingans was a guy that got him in the gym, in a ring, and they'd push each other around. And that was a big move for Brock, quite frankly, hooking up with Brad.
So from there, he's going to start Ohio Valley Wrestling in the fall of 2000. He's paired with Shelton Benjamin, who also happened to be his roommate at the University of Minnesota.
Imagine that. And
they're named the Minnesota Stretching Crew. Of course, this is a little tip of the cap to the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Once upon a time, the Andersons. They win the OVW Southern Tag Team Championships down there 3 times. Talk to us about Shelton. How early was he a part of these Brock Lesnar conversations?
Sheldon was the graduate assistant coach Brock's senior year at the University of Minnesota. So Shelton was on the mat and working out with Brock every day. They became buddies, best friends. Shelton's a bad dude, boy.
Yeah.
Anybody don't need to ever try to sell you short on, well, who are all these shooters and all this stuff. We all know Haku's the baddest dude in the world. I always loved Dr. Death because of his same traits. Shelton Benjamin's a badass.
Yeah.
The only thing that we don't hear from Sheldon is noise. He's just a quiet guy.
Yeah.
Athletic of that class, we brought in Brock and Cena and Batista and Orton, and the best athlete of the group, and no disrespect to those other guys that we signed, was Shelton Benjamin.
Right.
So if Shelton's personality had been, if we had done a better job in helping develop Shelton's personality, he'd be one of the most talked about superstars in WWE, in my opinion, over the last 10 years or so. But nonetheless, Sheldon was a crucial part of Brock's evolution. You know, I put it this way: we made Brock the foreman of the ring crew. Brock Lesnar was on the ring crew in OVW, and I would suggest to you, Conrad, that in that ring truck, that Shelton rode shotgun.
Okay,
that's the deal. So Shelton was there to make sure. Well, you know, Brock's a young guy and he's single. I think he was single at that time, and hadn't been away from home. And there's a lot of temptations, and opportunities to make really, really dumb decisions and do some stupid things. Shelton was very grounded, and he helped us in that regard a lot. Not that Brock was a problem child, but you never know how a guy's going to react when he's out of the purview of his family and he's on his own. You never know until you get there.
And he's making a little money really for the first time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he is.
That combination. Now, of course, he's not making Brock Lesnar 2022 money, but still, as a young man making that kind of money. Yeah.
Yeah. You're tempted and you can make mistakes and all these things, but I'm saying these things because of the interest of our show.
Right.
I don't want anybody to go away from the show. So Lesnar must have really been a problem child. What a pain in the ass he must have been. It's not that way at all.
Right.
You know, it's just, you don't know how a guy's going to react on the road until he gets on the road. Just leave it like that.
Let me mention too, and you say this on the show all the time, it's all about the money and the miles, and Lord, nobody knows that better than CarShield. This episode is brought to you by CarShield, who makes it easy and affordable to protect my car from expensive repairs. And that's just for starters. CarShield is the #1 auto protection company in the U.S. and offers protection plans for around $100 a month. The plans cover more parts than ever before, whether your car has 5,000 miles or 150,000 miles. Let me tell you how simple it is to get your car fixed. When you need a repair, you choose the mechanic, and CarShield's administrators handle the rest. That's it. You don't have to deal with the paperwork or the headaches you're taking care of. Same goes if your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road. Plans through CarShield include coast-to-coast roadside assistance. CarShield administrators are there for you with rental car options and trip reimbursement at no extra cost too. So get coverage today, and you'll lock in your price now, and it will never go up. That means as long as you own your car, no matter how old it is, you're protected from the rising cost of parts and repairs for your vehicle. CarShield helps protect my wallet from expensive car repairs, and they'll do the same for you. Go to carshield.com/podcast to start your plan and lock in your pricing forever. That's carshield.com/podcast. A deductible may apply. Hey guys, here's a heads up, something we've been talking about for a while. You can save money at rockauto.com. Don't take my word for it. Check this example out. If you got a fuel pump assembly for a 05 to 2010 Honda Odyssey, it'd run you $353.99 at Advance. Meanwhile, if you pick it up at rockauto.com, it's only $216.79. Why would you pay almost twice as much for the same stuff? Don't do that. Go to rockauto.com. They're a family-owned business. They've been hooking us up for like 20 years online, and they've got everything you could ever need from hundreds of manufacturers. Seriously. Engine control modules, tail lamps, motor oil, even new carpet. For your classic or your daily driver, you get everything you need in a few easy clicks. The website, rockauto.com, is so easy to navigate, even my old-ass dad can do it. Why not go see all the parts available for your car or truck right now at rockauto.com? But best of all, those prices, well, they're always reliably low, and they're the same for professionals and do-it-yourselfers. So go to rockauto.com right now. See what's available for your car or truck, and then write JR in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. It's an amazing selection. It's reliably low prices. It's all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com. By now, you know that Jim Ross knew how to put together an all-star roster. Of course, we're talking about when he was head of talent relations, and buddy, did he sign some MVPs or what? Well, when you're building a dream team, Great Scouts can help you find the future MVPs first. To hire great talent faster, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's a powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. Find great talent faster through time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. With Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they post the job, according to Indeed Data US. No other job site takes care of you like Indeed. Because with Indeed, you only have to pay if an applicant meets your must-have requirements. Indeed puts you in control of what you pay. You set your must-have job requirements and only pay for the applications that meet them. Oh, and check this out. There's a transparent flat fee per application, and you can pause your job posting whenever you want. When you sponsor an Indeed post, you're 4.5 times more likely to get hired. That's according to Indeed data worldwide. Guys, I got to tell you, I've used Indeed in my business for more than 10 years. They've been an unbelievably powerful hiring partner for me. They've delivered 4 times more hires than all the other job sites combined. That's according to Talent Nest 2019. Join more than 3 million businesses, mine included, that have used Indeed to hire great talent fast. And by the way, it's worldwide. And Indeed's doing something no other job site has done. Now with Indeed, businesses only pay for quality applications matching the sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/GrillingJR to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com/GrillingJR. Indeed.com/GrillingJR. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. So let's jump back into it here, because once they're down there and they're working out as a tag team, are you getting any chances to go down to Louisville to see in person what Brock and Randy Orton and Shelton and Batista and all these guys are doing? Or are you just watching tapes and getting updates from Cornette?
No, I'm going down. I went down as often as my schedule would allow. You know, when you're doing pay-per-views on Sunday and Raw on Monday, and being an administrator at SmackDown on Tuesday, and then you still got to do payroll for that week to get these animals paid. My trips to OVW were basically Fridays and Saturdays type thing when I was off. Not off, but I wasn't traveling.
Yeah.
I would travel to Louisville and watch these guys. You're damn right, man. You know, I didn't know. I thought we had a really good class. I really did. And it turned out to be the greatest class ever signed. Really, I mean, go prove me wrong if I'm bullshitting here and breaking my arm, patting myself on the back. But I think that class was the greatest class of wrestlers that WWE ever signed.
Yeah.
And it was a tremendous team effort. That's why I say we can't give Terry Briscoe enough credit and our team. And then when we handed these talents over to the coaches stepped up. The coaches realized what we had. And that if we could get these guys trained, they're listening to us, then all of a sudden we're building some major building blocks for the future for WWE. And that is not bullshit.
Right.
Because you can look at their roster. Randy Orton may be the most solid regular every day when he's healthy, in-ring guy in WWE. Then you got Cena coming back just recently. And John had that tremendous run there. And probably nothing more important for John's accomplishment, the fact that he's done all these Make-A-Wish things that are just heartwarming as hell. And then Batista had his run. Now he's doing a great job in the movies. Yeah. You know, Batista's a lot bigger movie star than he gets credit for.
100% agree.
And so they're just terrific. And then Shelton is the one that he's still there. And he can still work with anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. All these years later.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was very proud of that class. So I want to make sure that they were cool. And sometimes I didn't go down and let's go down and see how Brock's side headlock takeovers are.
No.
I went down there to see how he was doing. Are you sane? You want to go to lunch? All you guys want to go get something to eat? Let's go have a steak on Vince. That type deal. So I babysat that class along with all the other guys that were doing it full time. I'd get my little tag in every now and then, and I'd say I was down there about once a month, maybe twice.
Well, let's talk about the first time we see him in front of a WWF crowd. It's April 16th, 2001. It's a dark match before Raw in Knoxville, Tennessee. Brock and Shelton would defeat Scooter Schultz and BJ Payne. Lesnar is going to get the pin with an impressive shooting star press. Now, of course, we know famously, and we'll probably talk about it, he tried that once in a WrestleMania main event. Didn't really work out for him there. But as a dark match here, he could do it. But I have a feeling it probably wasn't what you hoped for him.
Well, I don't need to see a 300-pound guy doing a shooting star press.
Yeah.
I really don't. And when he did it at WrestleMania 19, I was pissed. Why? Why do it? It's a spot.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And a guy that's a national champion should be able to convincingly beat his adversary in a variety of ways without risking his goddamn career. If his neck wasn't at 20 inches and he wasn't strong as the ox, he could have broken his neck on that really easy. And we'd be talking about Brock Lesnar in the terms of maybe of our old friend Darren Drozdov or something. It just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I think Laurinaitis put that together. I know I chewed his ass out. Well, Vince liked it. Well, did you point out that it's risky and he had not done it from a crowd like that before, et cetera, et cetera? Kurt was too far out. I'm not blaming Kurt.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have done the damn spot to start with. But
right.
Nonetheless, nobody wanted to run him off when they saw him for the first time. I can tell you that.
No.
His look, that's what happened when we were in Minnesota. And Jerry brought him to the show, a live event. It might have been a pay-per-view. I'm not sure. I think it was a pay-per-view because I think Ventura was involved. He just had a birthday. So he's a little older than me. He's 71. And so it was Vince and I were talking outside the locker room, and Brock was standing down the hall talking to Briscoe. And Vince looked up like he'd seen a ghost. He said, "My God, who's that?" Of course, I'm being a wise ass. That's Jerry Briscoe. He's worked for you forever. Oh, I don't mean it. God damn it, JR. Who's that monster? The monster was Brock Lesnar. And at that point, the love affair began. Love at first sight.
Love at first sight, indeed. By the end of 2001, he's on the road full time for the WWF. He's not on TV yet, but he's working every Monday and Tuesday in dark matches, and he's in the opening matches at the house shows. When did you think he was actually ready? I know there's been a lot of talk about too much too soon with certain guys. It feels like you guys got it right with Brock. I know that ultimately, he decided this lifestyle wasn't for him and left for a bit, but when did you think, oh man, we're ready? Do you remember that moment?
It wasn't when we introduced him.
Yeah.
I thought we were a little premature on it.
Okay.
I thought we should have waited until he got more comfortable on the road, making his flights on time, living alone or living with a roommate, all those things that we don't talk about. We just talk about the wrestling match because we love the dirt. We need the dirt. Is there any dirt? Yeah, there's plenty of dirt. You ain't going to hear it here. Because that's just not the way I operate, not the way Conrad operates. But I thought we were a little early on it, Connie, to be honest with you.
So we know that he's wrestling everyone in OVW, guys like Orton and Rico, but he's also getting some reps against main roster guys like Crash Holly, Perry Saturn, Funaki, Kurt Hennig. He's even in some tags against the APA, teaming with Ron Waterman. What happened with Waterman? Why didn't he do more? That's a name that we heard a lot. And then
hell of a nice guy, fine human being, no doubt. I wish he'd have made it because he'd been a real benefit to our locker room. He's a former coach. He had a little age on him, like this maybe age. I mean, I think he's probably in his late 20s, early 30s, which is not old, but it's old to get your feet wet for the first time. And he just didn't have the charisma to connect with the audience. That's all. Like a lot of guys, just couldn't connect for whatever reason. The audience didn't accept him. And that was what happened there. But you couldn't find a nicer guy. And like I said, I like those nice guys in the locker room that are mature and sensible. And he definitely was that.
So Brock doesn't debut on TV until the night after WrestleMania 18. So a good 4 to 5 months on the road before being thrust into the limelight of the world TV audience. How far in advance did you know? And I know you weren't necessarily handling creative there, but when did you know Brock was going to debut after WrestleMania? I know that the Monday after WrestleMania became a big thing. I don't know that it was always like that, but
yeah,
once upon a time we've heard that Vince would tell stories sort of WrestleMania to WrestleMania and sometimes work backwards. Right. Well, in this era, things are moving a lot faster. When did you know, okay, day after Mania, we're going to see what the kid can do?
Well, I think Vince Russo actually wanted to get Brock involved earlier. And I don't blame Vince. I mean, goddamn, if you're writing TV and you got this guy that's sitting in the wings waiting for a script, so to speak, that's where you head. But I convinced Vince that that's too early. I said, he can't, I'm afraid he's going to hurt somebody. He's just not ready. Timing. You don't want to drop people on their head because he'll try everything.
Right.
And the boys are the worst influence. The wrestlers didn't give a shit if Brock succeeded or not. That's just their ego and the lack of common sense. This son of a bitch can make you a lot of money if you're smart.
Right.
So I guess you're not smart, are you? Or you're that insecure. So anyhow, I talked Vince out of it once. I said, he's just not ready. I said, here's the deal. Here's how I close this conversation, and we'll do it any way you want, as always. If I got on a stand of a court and they asked me if I thought Brock Lesnar was ready in light of this accident that occurred, my honest answer would be no. And there's where we hang. We got no recourse. We got no defense. And he agreed. So we waited a little bit longer, just more seasoning, more timing, all those things. And I don't think he saw too many more shooting star presses after that WrestleMania 19 one. I don't think.
Oh no, I don't think we saw that again.
No.
But the debut, man, whoo, he interrupts a hardcore title match. He destroys everyone in sight, particularly poor little Spike Dudley. But what a way to make an impact. And, it feels like it almost set a precedent that, hey man, if you want to debut somebody in a big way, do it the day after WrestleMania, because man, they rolled out the red carpet here for Brock. Did they not?
Oh yeah. It's like if you work for Lexus and you got a new model coming out, you want all the whistles and bells and promotion and eyes on that product that you can. And so that's kind of what the goal was. And it worked pretty well. It worked pretty well. Brock made an impact on his debut. There's no doubt. People were talking the next day.
Talk to me a little bit about the pairing with Paul Heyman. Of course, we've seen that have a lot of success in more recent years. These days, we know Paul is with our tribal chief, Roman Reigns. But back then, what a genius pairing it was for him and Paul. It just was magic right away. Is that creative that somebody came up with, or did Paul see it and say, ooh, I want a campaign. I want that guy. What do you remember about that?
Well, Heyman's very opportunistic, smart. He saw money and he wanted to be a part of it. And the other thing that was really, really important that's often not talked about enough is the fact that Brock got along with Heyman. And a lot of other guys did not, because Paul was very headstrong, as you know, and people know Paul. He's brilliant. And sometimes he thinks way over the other average dude's head. Even though he's right, pro wrestling is a funny business, Connie, in the sense that if you haven't thought of the idea, it's really oftentimes not considered by you as a good idea. And that's the insecurities of pro wrestling. But Heyman had a way of conversing with Brock that calmed him down. They communicated well. But I think the fact if they had not gotten along so well, and Heyman was not such a good listener, that relationship would never have worked. It's still working.
Yeah. But him having a manager and a mouthpiece, we've heard for years that Vince doesn't always love that presentation. It felt like in the 80s, everybody had a manager, and then it almost went to a spot where that was sort of out of fashion. Had Brock not been paired with Paul Heyman, do you think he would have achieved as much success right away, or would something have been missing?
I think something would have been missing, because Heyman could speak for him. Heyman could speak for Brock. And that was so important to convey Brock's message to the world via that vehicle known as Paul Heyman. I don't think it could have been done any better. The thing about the 80s, you go back and look at the prototypical managers in the 80s.
Right.
They weren't Paul Heyman.
No, they were not.
Old ex-wrestlers, some bitter, some lazy, some hanging on to a job, making a couple of bucks. That's about it. Hell, they're there for years and years and years in AEW and WWE. They didn't have the managers go to ringside for the live events. They went to TV. They didn't make the house show tour, and the house show tour was huge. So I believe that Heyman was very instrumental in Brock's success. And as I said moments ago, and he still is.
You know, the thing I've always wondered is, you know, when you look back at this debut, is there a more impactful debut than Brock's? I know you think it was too premature, but man, he came in, cleared house, and he was quickly pushed to the top. There's been a bunch of big, impressive debuts, I suppose. Goldberg comes to mind, but I would still think, man, Brock Lesnar probably had the most impressive debut. Am I wrong?
I don't think you are. I'm trying to think, certainly nobody recently.
Yeah.
You get a bunch of average looking pro wrestlers that are trying to find their way. I don't blame them for that. I'm not knocking them. I'm not knocking WWE or anybody else. Even though I am an AEW apologist, loyal, and like what we're doing. Be that as it may, off the top of my head, Conrad, I can't think of anybody that had a bigger impact, especially if you look at the long-lasting effects that impact had on the pro wrestling business and on that company. Look what he's done. Brock is the biggest star in WWE today, period. End of story. Respect that. That's why he's working these stadium shows on top. And, but I think his impact that got him in the game and got him noticed was probably the most impactful that I can recall off the top of my head. And certainly, has had this amazing long lasting effect that WWE's parlayed into a lot of money.
One of the biggest and most impactful things that I've done in recent years is finding out about Chili Sleep. Boys and girls, I am a Chili Sleep believer through and through. I tell all my friends and family about it. In fact, Jim, I've got them upstairs at my house. I got them downstairs at my house. I got one I travel with. I'm sold on Chili Sleep. And years ago, you started telling me here on the show about the importance of a CPAP machine.
Yep.
Well, buddy, my friends that I've helped put onto that with your help are sleeping better than ever, including my own dad. But my goodness, the Chili Sleep turns it up a notch, man. What we're talking about is temperature controlled sleep. And if you live in Florida like Jim does, or you live in Alabama like I do, you have a ceiling fan in your bedroom. It's not negotiable. In addition to that, you also crank that AC down when you go to bed. I sleep better when I'm cooler. I just knew that.
Yeah, me too.
But I didn't think about this, but man, I was a little foolish because I didn't need my laundry room to be cold. I didn't need my kitchen to be cold. I needed my bed to be cold. And now it is. Chili Sleep makes a cube sleep system and an Uller. Now I have the Uller. Either way, you're getting a hydro-powered, temperature-controlled mattress topper. It fits over your existing mattress, so you don't need a new mattress. It's not a waterbed. But this luxury mattress pad keeps your bed at the perfect temperature. And Jim, we all remember that story. We grew up on it. This bed's too hard. This bed's too soft. This one's just right. Well, what's great about Chili Sleep, my wife sleeps a little warmer than I do. She likes her side warmer. I like my side cooler. Chili Sleep can do that. We're in the same bed, but her side's her perfect temperature. My side is my perfect temperature. Before I had a Chili Sleep, I was sleeping 5, 6, 7, maybe sometimes 7 hours in a week or a night. Now I'm sleeping 7, 8, 9 hours. I feel better. I'm not flipping my pillow. I'm not getting up to pee in the middle of the night. I'm not fighting with the covers. All that stuff is gone. I fall asleep. I stay asleep, and I have bright, vivid, colorful dreams. I didn't have that before. It tells me I'm getting the great quality sleep I need. Imagine waking up and not feeling tired. That's my existence these days. I credit all of it to Chili Sleep. Head on over now, chilisleep.com/JR. to learn more and save 30% off the purchase of any new Cube or Uller sleep system. Now, this offer is available exclusively for Grilling JR listeners. It's only available for a limited time. That's Chili, CHILI, sleep.com/JR Take advantage of this discount and wake up feeling refreshed every day. And Jim, there's nothing more important than good sleep, is there?
No, there isn't, Conrad. There's nothing like rediscovering what REM sleep is, like we slept when we were kids.
Yeah.
One of the reasons kids sometimes had these frightening nightmares is because they were dreaming in color. And I went for probably 2 decades or maybe more where I never dreamed in color. And when I started finding REM sleep again, I had some very colorful dreams. As a matter of fact, I had one just last night. I'll tell you. No, but you know what I mean? It's just, we overlook it. We take advantage, or we take for granted, better said, take for granted how we sleep. And there's nothing more important than getting consistent good night sleeps, and Chili Sleep's going to help get that done. It's guaranteed. It's going to work.
I love it. You will too. ChiliSleep.com/JR. Let's jump back into Brock Lesnar here. His first TV match is Backlash. We covered that earlier this year over in the archives, but right away he's beating people by referee's decision and not pinfalls. And we've been taking a little look at Brock's early WWE run the past few months here on the show. He went through the Hardy Boys and then wins the King of the Ring. Were there any early signs that he was kind of unhappy with being on the road? I know eventually that becomes an issue, but was it smooth sailing at first and he just grew tired of it? Or could you tell right away he loves the physicality part and being an entertainer, but boy, that suitcase living, that ain't for him?
Well, we soon found out that going through TSA was not his life's dream. And so I made sure that he got some time off here, there, and yon, more than maybe even some of the veterans. That's the kind of confidence and investment we had in this guy. Well, is that fair to the veterans? I don't know. I don't know, dirt boy. I don't know if it's fair. Is fucking life fair? I'm trying to make a talent that I believe to be a generational talent, keep him happy and productive, more importantly. But it wasn't too long after he was on the road to where the grumblings of his travel and having to make a flight and these things, he didn't like traveling. He liked being at home. He's a farm boy, as you said earlier, from Webster, South Dakota. He's only, he's used to growing up milking dairy cattle. So it wasn't long. It didn't take long, and it normally doesn't. You got to work over that hump, and we eventually did with a stop in production there for a little while. But nonetheless, you could tell he was not a natural born traveler. He flies. He don't even today, after all these years, he don't get on a commercial airplane. What's that tell you? He can afford, and probably his contract provides the private plane and all that stuff. So he's not changed.
Right.
He didn't like to go through airports. He didn't like to be bothered. So there you go. And WWE's got it fixed where he's not bothered. Smart.
No doubt about it. Did you see any holes in this game? In the ring, he's obviously just mowing down guys. He's got
selling.
Okay.
Maybe selling, showing vulnerabilities. Big tough guys like that in real life don't want to show any vulnerabilities. And they'll walk into a bar and order a sarsaparilla or a Shirley Temple. And yes, kids, that drink someday years ago existed. And if you don't believe me, just ask Cesaro. Wait a minute. His name is Claudio. Oh, I'm sorry. JR on this podcast, he said Cesaro. I can't believe it. He should be fired. I should not only be fired, I should be horsewhipped with a leather rope that's wet. That's how bad I feel about myself this very moment, which is all bullshit. But he was just there's a lot of guys on the road right now, or on the road part-time right now, because they can be. You notice WWE is using a lot of their young guys for their live events, travel. Hell, I guess Roman Reigns just took himself off the road. I'm overexposed, or I don't want to travel this much, or whatever. And because the leverage the talents have nowadays and the schedules that they are able to keep, he doesn't have to be.
Right. Well, we know he's going to hit an F5 on Undertaker. Taker's world champ at the time. And I guess there's a rite of passage, at least on camera. Whenever there's a new talent, it feels like everybody's sort of looking for the approval of the Undertaker. We fans sometimes think that, art mirrors life in that regard, and everybody is looking for lack of a better word, the godfather of the locker room's approval. He winds up losing to Rob Van Dam by DQ at Vengeance. And the next night on Raw, Taker's going to send Brock to the floor by hitting him with Singapore canes. And at the end of the night, Paul Heyman announces that Brock is signed with SmackDown. Is there a concern when you make a move like this that, hey, maybe we need to give him the benefit of a taped audience as opposed to live? Or is it just about, let's reshuffle the deck and put some star power on different shows?
Well, I think both those things are good reasons. I think both those things are that you just mentioned are in play. Being able to be protected a little bit, and that went for a lot of talent. But this show's taped, and it could be edited. The mistakes can be removed and fixed. I think it was good. But I think both those items came into play, Conrad. You know, we're trying to protect this guy. I hope I'm making some sense here to somebody out there listening. We're protecting what we believe to be Michael Jordan. We believed that Brock Lesnar was going to become the greatest in-ring talent that we ever had. You can't replicate what he brought to the table. The look alone got the eyes there. And if a talent can't figure out what gets the eyes on him or her, then they need to reevaluate their position. But Brock Lesnar would just walk into a room and consume it. So he was our Jordan, man. And I just believed that he was going to be, and I still believe, I guess I don't think that I'm wrong now. Who does the biggest company in the world bring in every time they want to draw a stadium house? Brock Lesnar. And he's not even on TV every week. But when he's on TV every week, he's smart enough now, and with booking sense and being around Heyman, that he knows how to protect himself with the creative. And they're doing a great job with him in that regard. So I'm not seeing him too much. Brock is an attraction guy, but I'm not seeing him too much, which is what you should, how you should culture and develop attraction type talents.
He gets a big time win over Hulk Hogan in August, and you can see Brock is destined for big things. It's rare to see someone of Brock's age working with Taker, Hogan, and about to main event the biggest SummerSlam pay-per-view, at least in a while, with The Rock. Very quickly, you and Vince and the rest of the clan had to realize, boy, we've struck gold here. Was there anybody you remember sort of saying, I don't know about this, too much too soon? Not guys in the locker room. We know that's just par for course, but as far as, you, Briscoe, Patterson, Bruce, anybody like that?
I don't remember anybody having any issues with where we were headed with Brock. Everybody loved Brock for different reasons, and knew. Patterson was always amazed at Brock's athletic ability, for his size. You got to remember, in Patterson's era, his heyday, a guy that was 6'3", 280 that could move around, that was almost unheard of. Patterson was always amazed by Brock's athletic ability. So, and rightfully so, quite frankly. But nobody, Connor, that I can recall had any adverse reactions to what we were doing with Brock, other than a little bit, rewinded a little bit, what we talked about, maybe rolling him out a little bit too soon. That's about it.
Well, he's in a big spot at this SummerSlam 02 show. It's a big show. We got Flair and Jericho in the undercard. We got Shawn Michaels coming back to take on Triple H. A lot of people didn't think they'd see Shawn back. So that's a big time show just right there. But then in your main event, it's The Rock, who's going to go off and make movies now. And they showed the training of these guys and Rock running stadiums and his old football stadium. Just great stuff.
Yeah.
And we know Rock is leaving to make a movie, but what do you think Rock thought of Brock? Did he see what everybody else saw and thought it was good business?
Oh, I think so. Because I don't think, Rock, I never heard one negative word out of Rock regarding doing the honors for Brock Lesnar. Not one peep. So that tells me that Rock was cool with it and we had the right guy. Young, big, athletic, and Rock could appreciate that because he was at one time very young, very big, and very athletic, and still was, quite frankly, to that day. So I think just the fact that Rock had the match would tell me that he was cool with it. He was cool with the creative, and certainly the match made sense. We're making a star, just like we did with Rock. He understood that, man.
Yeah.
And when you're a third generation wrestler, you get it.
Yeah.
You know, who's to say that this is going to be only a one-off? I mean, Rock could come back at any other time, work a return match, and draw money and make another massive payday.
For sure. So we know that the WWE champion is going back and forth between Raw and SmackDown in this era, but a few weeks after Brock gets the belt, the decision is made, nope, we're just going to make Brock the champion on SmackDown. We introduce the other belt on Raw. Is that important for the brand split, do you think, to have two championship belts? I mean, these days it feels like they're just trying to find a reason to hang on to it, in my opinion.
I think you're right about the latter. Still trying to justify the brand split. If the brand split had been done correctly and kept the talents kept totally separate, it had a fighting chance to be established. But we didn't do that. We intermingled, and you know, they're kissing cousins in this deal and all that stuff, so to speak. But I don't know. The brand split went to hell early.
Yeah.
So, and I just got a text and agreed with it. Anyway, no, the brand split was still being discussed. Still trying to find out how to make it work. And it's easy. There's one way to make it work, Conrad, and that is keep the talent separate.
Right.
And, we didn't do a good job of that early going, or anytime, actually.
His first title defenses are against The Undertaker, including a brutal Hell in a Cell match at No Mercy 02. When you go from working Rock and really, you know, beating him to be crowned the world champion straight into The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match. I mean, I know these days people just think Brock is this larger than life performer, and he is, but I'm just saying, God, that's a lot of pressure to put on a young guy here. Is it not?
Yeah, but you got to know Brock Lesnar to know that he thrives on it.
Okay.
He loves that those opportunities like that. They don't intimidate him. Some of it is not intimidatable. He's fearless, and he's always been the man. He was the man on the University of Minnesota campus. And he was the man at OVW, and he was the man at in the locker room. He had great respect from the guys. So because they all respected his being a badass,
right?
And for whatever reason, that's how it worked.
So the next thing we're going to see is him be pinned for the first time and lose the title to Big Show at Survivor Series 02. Heyman's going to turn on Brock to side with Big Show. That effectively turns Brock babyface in the process. What'd you think of that creative and that decision to have Big Show be the guy to end it? And the story is Paul turned.
Well, I think in hindsight, we could have got more mileage out of the Brock heel run.
Yeah.
Furthermore, I think that we were trying to make stars, so we gave Big Show got a tremendous rub. He's another major investment, big money, 7-figure deal. And you look at guys like Big Show, you have to look at it realistically. How long is his shelf life? Well, the way we use Big Show, his shelf life meant nothing because he's an attraction guy that worked way too much. Big guys like that, it's hard to manage. It's hard to manage their schedule and their health and their joints, their back and all that stuff that took a beating. But we're trying to now we're moving on to making more stars, trying to get Big Show over. Heyman left Brock in the lurch, and we thought at that time that Brock could carry a promo. Okay. And the thing about him, the people just wanted to see him.
Right.
But he could still do a promo, and it was a way to get another big match for a pay-per-view with the Show and Lesnar. So I know that we could have got more mileage out of Brock being a heel at that time, but I wasn't negative, overtly negative on how that creative went down.
So it's got to be a tough deal for Brock. I mean, he's had so much success so early, but really he's not talking. And now he's going to have to really stretch here to get over as a babyface. Obviously he's got, just the way he looks and his physicality on his side, but man, it is a real test. Big Show's going to lose to Kurt Angle the next month. And of course, we're setting up the stage here for WrestleMania 19, where it's going to wind up being Brock challenging Kurt for the WWE title. So you got two amateur heroes. I mean, absolute standouts. It had to be something you guys were at least thinking about as soon as Brock Lesnar is on your radar. Oh, you're a badass wrestler? Well, turns out we got one of those waiting in the wings here in Mr. Kurt Angle.
Right.
Was that idea for WrestleMania sort of set in stone when he beats The Rock back at SummerSlam, you got to at least be thinking about a match like this, right?
The match set for WrestleMania 19 in Seattle was Rock Austin 3.
Okay.
That's the tent everybody wanted to run under.
Gotcha.
Because until Steve got sick before the show and hospitalized the night before the show, Rock and Austin were going to close.
Okay.
And we weren't sure. It pissed Steve off to no ends. They needed to close that WrestleMania. But we just weren't sure how far he could go, how long he could go. He'd been dehydrated, et cetera, et cetera. We weren't going to put him in a ring if his health was grave danger.
Right.
But he was weak and weakened. So that was the main event. And then when that occurrence happened, it might have even been, the lineup may have changed, Conrad, on the Saturday night before the show.
Once he was in the hospital or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went with those two young studs, those two amateurs you mentioned, to close the show. And that was another big responsibility for Brock. You got to close the show in an admirable way that represents your business and everybody else, and yourself and your family, and what you've learned along this short journey that you've had. You guys go out there and kill it. And they did. They had a good match. And they're just trying to top themselves with an unnecessary high risk, high spot that they didn't need to do. But nonetheless, they did it. Thank God Brock's okay. But man, he was shaken up after that thing was over. And I talked to his dad after that was over. His dad was very concerned. And that didn't bode well for us because we sure as fuck didn't want Brock going home and staying home.
No.
I'll give you all the time off you want. No problem. You want to go hunting? Okay, where do you want to go? I'll help you get there. But don't stay home. We need you.
Well, we know what's coming. It's going to be a huge match. Of course, on the way there, Brock's got to win the 2003 Royal Rumble match in order to earn the right to challenge Kurt. But let's think about this. A year on TV, he's become the king of the ring. He's won the Royal Rumble. He's the youngest WWE champ. He's beat The Rock. He's beat Hogan. He's beat Flair. He's beat Taker. Now he's in the main event of WrestleMania. My man is 25 years old.
Yep.
This is a story like no other right here, is it not?
There's no talent like no other. So it all fits.
Yeah.
It all fits, Conrad. Well, nobody else has ever done that. Well, okay. You didn't say that. I'm being
right.
Dick. But yeah. No, so what? That's what you look for. You look for uniqueness and individualism. And he was just the guy. And there was nobody close to him being the guy at 1A. They were great guys. We had some hellacious talents, but you look at all the intangibles. It's hard to compare anybody else on our entire roster to Brock Lesnar.
Well, and it's hard to compare anybody else to Pro Wrestling Tees. Jim and I have been doing business with Pro Wrestling Tees for a long, long time. This episode is brought to you in part by Pro Wrestling Tees, t-shirts designed and sold by over 2,500 pro wrestlers. It really is a who's who. Sting, Macho Man, Stone Cold, CM Punk, and so many more. If you're looking for premium wrestling merch, you got to go to ProWrestlingTees.com. You'll be supporting wrestling legends from the past and independent wrestling stars of the future. There's more than 100,000 products that are being shipped worldwide. And when you order from Pro Wrestling Tees, all the profits go directly to the wrestlers or their families. So visit ProWrestlingTees.com today. And now they've introduced, I don't know if you've heard about this yet, Jim, Powerbomb Pizza from Pro Wrestling Tees. It's powered by Kitchen Data, or Kitch Data, KDS as I like to call them. Either way, Powerbomb Pizza, it's pizza crafted and sold by pro wrestlers. Check this out. Powerbomb Pizza is the first delivery-only pizzeria with over 30 locations that combines wrestling with handcrafted classic pizza recipes. All profits go directly to the wrestling legends you love, like Mick Foley, Roddy Piper, Bret Hart, Eddie Guerrero, and more. So order today on Uber Eats or visit powerbombpizza.com. How cool is that, Jim? Pull up your Uber Eats, look at pizza, bam, there's Powerbomb Pizza. And if they don't have it in your area yet, you can probably sign up over at powerbombpizza.com and say, hey, bring one to my area. But
yeah,
pizza and wrestling.
Check it out. Get a good pie.
Dude,
that's what I'd say.
All these old pay-per-views, when I get together with my buddies, guess what we ordered?
Powerbomb Pizza.
Pizza, baby. Come on. Why not? Powerbombpizza.com. Way to go.
Yeah.
Now,
hey, Conrad and I got t-shirts there too.
Absolutely.
The beautiful and exotic collection of red ass JRs featured on Pro Wrestling Tees, among other things.
That's exactly right. If you want to see that and you want to support the show, that's adfreecares.com. And what's cool is, Jim, we donate 100% of the proceeds of our shirts directly to St. Jude's.
Yeah.
So
I want to talk to you about that. I'm kidding.
JR doesn't keep a nickel. I don't keep a nickel.
Oh.
Every penny goes to families who really, really need it. So you get to spread the word about our podcast, and we really appreciate that. But more than that, we get to help some families who really need it.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And we jest, I jest, and we joke, I joke about these things. But Conrad and I are very serious about helping others because we are grateful for the good fortune that we're having and have had and will have. So when you buy one of our shirts, you know that the money's not getting in our pocket. It's going into the pocket of those that can use it and help them. So it's a cool deal. And we're happy to cooperate with Pro Wrestling Tees. They're your source, folks. You want a crazy shirt? Hell, I'm sure they'll make you a shirt. They do everything there. Ryan Barkin is much like Conrad. He's a natural-born entrepreneur who does great work and is a hell of a nice man. And he's got a beautiful wife, too, by the way. They have beautiful kids.
Well, there you go. That's how that works, man.
That works.
There was some doubt about this WrestleMania match, not just because Austin is having a little scare the night before at the hospital, but boy, Kurt's neck has been really, really bad. He probably should have already had the surgery. He didn't want to miss his chance at a main event. He opted to gut it out and wait until after Mania. It's a very great match, but unfortunately, the thing everybody remembers is the botched Shooting Star Press. Right. You told us the story on that, sort of to start our show today, but were you at all concerned, hey man, we might not even be able to get this match in the ring? Kurt is hurting for certain.
Yeah, I was concerned about Kurt. The only thing you can do is take him at his word and get through it, and that they and their agent that's help putting the match together are smart enough not to overbook them in situations that they shouldn't be in. That's what you hope. So that agent serves as the checks and balance. And if he's got balls, and some of them do and some of them don't, because they want to affect the boys. Oh, we can't upset the boys. Jesus. Okay, yeah, let's put the son of a bitch in the hospital. Now, how much do you protect the boys now? All you want to do is to avoid an argument, or you didn't feel confident in your opinion to debate it and close the deal. But yeah, we were concerned. We had a lot of concerns that night. Our last two matches were in jeopardy. Austin, Rock, and this one we're talking about now with Kurt and Brock. So it was tough. It was a tough night, but we had a great crowd, and it was kind of fun outside the baseball stadium. Thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So all good. We got through it, man. We got somehow, some way, like pro wrestling does, just like Ric Flair on Sunday night. He'll get through it.
What do you remember about seeing Brock after the show? So after the match is done, the fans are filing out, it's over. The main event has ended. There's some footage that just come out in the last few years where we see Brock clearly concussed and annoyed and angry and lashing out because he was clearly concussed. And it's a tough thing to see, especially with what we know now about head trauma, and you don't want to see somebody hurting like that. But do you remember coming back through after a long day? You had all this emotion, making the call, and now you come back through the curtain and you see stuff happening. What happens in your mind at that point?
Well, it was a long day and a long night because I didn't get any sleep the night before.
Right.
I was at the hospital in Boston. So that was a real long day, to be honest with you. I remember seeing Brock at the team hotel when the show was over at the after party because he had invited his parents there to go to the show and sort of enjoy the main event that their son was in. And that's where I had a long talk with his dad about that. I explained to his dad, I said, this is what they did. That shooting star press is a very high risk maneuver. Brock can do it, but he's too big to be doing it because the margin for error is minimal at best. But I talked to him, and I heard him cursing and angry. He was angry at everybody, including me.
Right.
And you just listen, Conrad. I guess, like I said earlier, talking about something in this about this show, Heyman became a good listener, believe it or not, because everybody's used to Heyman talking. He's a good listener, smart. So I just try to be a good listener to him, and I don't know what he was so angry about. His judgment to do the shooting star press, his reasoning for doing the shooting star press, or him being allowed to do the shooting star press. I'm not sure. But it was the wrong decision at the wrong time. And we're very, very lucky that we didn't lose. What do they call those guys? Like I said, he was our Jordan. He's a once-in-a-lifetime guy. He's a generational guy.
Yeah.
You just don't need to put him in that kind of jeopardy.
Right.
There's no reason for it. And if anybody out there that's watching and they get on Twitter, oh, I would have done that spot. I think it was necessary. They had to have it. No, they didn't. I respect your opinion, Mr. Observer, but I don't agree with it, which is cool. You got to agree with mine either. But we'll live to be happy another day.
Well, let's talk about, since we just talked about the match with Kurt, who had a better rookie year in your opinion? Because Kurt, boy, he set the woods on fire too. Between Brock and Kurt, obviously two different times in the business. Who had a better rookie year in your opinion?
Hard to say, man.
That's about as close as it gets, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a fine line. As my grandpa says, it's tighter than 19 is to 20. And that's kind of where we are with that deal. God, I don't know how you do. A while ago, when you read off the accolades that Brock earned in his first year, it's pretty astonishing.
For real. I agree.
But if you go back and we did the same review for Kurt, it's pretty astonishing.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how you determine who was better, but boy, because they were both extraordinary. And that's what you get more often than not, if they're going to make it, when you recruit, sign, and train a wrestler with legitimate athletic backgrounds. For whatever reason, they're competitive. They work through injury. They're a little stubborn. There's a lot of great traits that you get from a guy that migrated from team sports and migrated from a locker room and a team environment. And there just is. And it's hard to explain. But if you go back in time, Conrad, and you and I both are students of the game, and things like the Cauliflower Alley Club recognizes that, and of course the recent Luthez George Tragus event in Waterloo. You look back in that era of the golden era of the 50s and the 60s, you look at all those talents that were drawing money. They're all ex-amateur athletes. Hell, even Dick the Bruiser and Vern Gagne, Wilbur Snyder, they're all Gene Kaninsky. They played in the CFL. They came from an organized sports background. And for whatever reason, I don't have all the reasons, but for whatever reason, those guys seem to have the best chance of surviving. There's been a lot of ex-ball players and things that did well that were not great ball players, but they were tough guys and they were coordinated and they're in shape and they worked hard because they wanted to play on the first team, i.e. the main events. So maybe that has something to do with it. But, we were very blessed to have talents. So I remember signing Kurt. Now, quick story. He thought he was going to read the local Pittsburgh Sports, the news. And that's what he was going to do. That's what he turned our first offer down. He's going to do something else. Sit at a desk with a nice little suit and tie and read off a prompter. Or anybody that knows Kurt knows he probably ain't the prompter reading kind. And he found his calling.
Yes, he did.
He found his calling. It just took him a little bit longer to get there. But we were willing to wait. And when he wanted to come back, he got offered a whole lot less money. And how bad do you still want to come play? Because here's what we're offering you now. Well, the other market price is gone. We don't have that no more. That deal doesn't exist. So So, but we'll hire you and we'll pay you and we'll pay you this. And then when you get on your feet and you prove that you are what we think you are, then that salary will be another memory. And that's kind of how we worked. It sounds loose. It sounds, how do you trust somebody that much? Well, you've got to trust us, Kurt. You got to trust us because you didn't grow up a fan. We're teaching you from ground one.
Right. And
we love the fact you won a gold medal for your country in 1996.
With a broken freaking neck.
With a broken freaking neck. So, but we had to understand, Conrad, we're going to invest big money eventually in this talent. How much this former broken freaking neck affect him. You're not going to know that till you engage in the journey.
If someone relies on you financially, your spouse, your child, anyone, life insurance gives you the peace of mind that they'll have a financial cushion if something ever happens to you. By making it easy to compare your options from top companies, Goliath Life helps make sure you're not paying a penny more than you have to for the life insurance coverage you need to protect those you love. At GoliathLife.com, you can compare personalized quotes from top companies to find your lowest price. The process is fast and easy with no hidden fees, upsells, or hassles. Goliath Life is your one-stop shop to find the life insurance you need at the right price. Head to GoliathLife.com to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you can save. That's GoliathLife.com.
Well, let's do some questions, man. We got a ton of great questions. Michael wants to know, I recently watched the Ruthless Aggression series and I forgot Lesnar and Hogan had a match on SmackDown. Was there ever any thought to having that as a pay-per-view match?
Well, I think they just wanted to build the ratings for SmackDown and they eventually had a pay-per-view match. So I don't know how they answered that. I guess yes.
Sober Wrestling says, Brock has alluded to issues with booze and pills contributing to his 04 departure. Were there any visible signs to you that he was having issues or struggling in that regard?
Yeah, mood swings. You seem to be pissed off all the time. And there's something was going on. And we finally found out what it was.
Steve Clark Wrestling says, who came up with giving Brock the F5 finisher, or was that his idea?
I don't know. That could have been a Heyman idea. I'm not sure. But I can promise you, if it's going to become Lesnar's finish, he had a major hand in saying yes or no.
Here's one that we haven't ever discussed before. It's about Paul Heyman. Charles Johnson wants to know, Heyman has suggested that quote unquote older wrestlers were offering bad advice to Brock before he debuted. Things like working a plotting 80s monster type of style, for instance, outside of sabotaging him. Why else would that be? Is that just different philosophies? And is that a little veiled shot, do you think, from Heyman to Cornette?
Oh, I didn't think of it that way.
Well, I'm just thinking he was down in OVW with Cornette, and maybe he was saying, "Oh, goddamn, you got to wrestle like that." I don't know. I wasn't there.
Conrad Thompson brought it up in a podcast instead of a bitch. I was talking to my friend Kenny Boland.
Well, I just think I've heard over the years that Paul Heyman and Cornette were not exactly best of friends.
They weren't, and the funny part about that is that they had so much similarities.
Yeah,
photographers, backed in the business. All that stuff. And they both became major stars of any era.
Yeah.
The guys like Cornette and Heyman would be contributing members of the wrestling society in any generation that I have been a part of.
Yes.
And that started in 74. That's pretty good. But they didn't get along for various and sundry reasons. I think Cornette wanted to be more traditional and more logical, and Heyman was willing to take those chances and get out there and open the envelope up a little bit for better or for worse. But they had a lot in common. I used to tell them that when they're together. I'd bust their balls. I love doing it. Had fun being ornery. But they both were great contributors to the pro wrestling business. They still are. I mean, Heyman obviously, and Cornette's got his thing going on, and so it seems like they both are happy.
Yeah.
That means a lot to me.
Matt wants to know, fans have always thought Brock does not have a passion for professional wrestling and sports entertainment, and he's only in it for the fame and fortune. What does good old JR think?
Well, I think that there's something to be said about that. During his first run, I think he burned out real quickly because he wasn't prepared for the travel, packing, ticketing, TSA, park your rental car, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think he was ready for that every day. But I don't know. I think after he came back, and certainly in this run, he's got everything the way he wants it. Travel.
Yeah.
That was his enemy, right? We established that. Well, you get on that private plane and fly to wherever you're going. That ain't bad. When they fly to Abu Dhabi or wherever the hell they go, I went there once, first one, with Lawler. Where the hell was that country? Saudi Arabia.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. He had a private plane that Heyman flew on. So you wonder, why did Heyman gravitate to Brock?
Well, not a bad reason.
Well, that ain't one bad reason right there. So anyway, I think Brock his passion is back in pro wrestling because he can use it. He can use it to facilitate his love of hunting and ranching and farming and
everything
raising
else.
his kids and all that good stuff, stuff that normal people like to do. But I don't think he has. I think his fire for pro wrestling is just fine.
So let's do a couple more here. Dylan wants to know, were you surprised the crowd turned on The Rock at SummerSlam?
Well, no, because they knew Rock was leaving and Brock was staying.
Yeah.
Same thing. I watched the A&E biography on Undertaker, and they got shit all over Brock and Goldberg in the Garden at WrestleMania 20.
Yeah.
Because the fans knew everybody was leaving except Stone Cold.
Yeah.
He was too beat up to work. So they were pissed. And it's like I said in that deal at mid-air, the fans thought they were being deserted. And mom and daddy are getting divorced, and they don't want either one of us. So that made air for what it's worth.
Bryant wants to know, how much credit would you give Gerald Briscoe in the growth and development of Brock's early career? I know Gerald helped recruit Brock and is even in the video from WrestleMania 19 where Brock is receiving medical attention. Gerald is there. How close were they?
Very close. And Jerry Briscoe was instrumental in not only recruiting Brock Lesnar, but so many others over the years that came from amateur programs, whether it be NAIA or Division III or the big boys of Division I, like where we got Brock. Kurt was a D1 guy. Sheldon was a D1 guy. Huge. Jerry was huge. So good to work with, traveling, going to some of these off-the-wall places, but Gerald was crucial. I don't know that we'd have got Brock under the circumstances that we did if we didn't have Gerald Briscoe on staff. That's how big it was.
Wow. Pastor Tim says, the rise of Brock Lesnar. We always hear about the advantages that amateur wrestlers have in transitioning to pro wrestler compared to other backgrounds. No one, in my opinion, is a bigger example of this than Brock Lesnar. My question is this: in your opinion, what are the disadvantages for amateur wrestlers? It seems like the lack of perceived legitimate competition or the necessity of relying on another person besides yourself to be successful in the ring would make for a tough transition. What say you?
Well, by and large, they hate to lose. Under any circumstance. They don't understand the art of selling because they're invincible and they came from a big-time amateur program. So they don't like to lose under any circumstance because they don't understand the wrestling business to any degree. Instead of using their God-given skills, their physicality, and all those things to their benefit, they worry about how they're going to look to others, including their peers, if they lose a match. Everybody loses a match. Everybody loses a match. I mean, God almighty, if nobody was ever going to lose, it'd been Goldberg.
Right.
Right? I mean, he wasn't what it was that his record, 100 and something wins.
Oh, yeah, 171 or something like that.
Yeah, some crazy ass number.
I mean, the reality is, it is probably a little different for an amateur wrestler because as an amateur wrestler, you're like, you never want to be on your back. Right?
Never.
And
they're not comfortable. They're not comfortable working off their back in a pro wrestling match.
Right.
They're not comfortable lying. I don't want to say dormant, but somewhat still, when they're on the bottom, because they've been taught all their life, since they're little farts, that you got to get off your back because it's just one count. You're done. So on the back is a big deal. It's a good point, but the art of selling for some reason, and still even today, Conrad, I see guys that have a hard time selling because they perceive that it makes them look weak.
Isn't that weird?
Same concept. Same concept about doing the favor, losing. Oh, it's going to kill me to lose. Then you're not very good at what you do, are you?
Right.
God damn, you're not very good at what you do. You really aren't.
I read a stat the other day that nobody has more losses on the main roster this year than Seth Rollins. He's a pretty top guy over there. What do you think?
Hell yeah.
Doing just fine.
He's getting over as much as his wife.
Alex has this to say. I'd like to hear JR talk about the process of recruiting college athletes and particularly what it's like negotiating with athletes who have a variety of other options. If pro wrestling is not the athlete's first choice, do they sell them on the wrestling business or just move on?
Well, I think we sold them on what they could earn being in the wrestling business.
Right.
This is a job. This is a full-time job. And you can call ZipRecruiter or anybody else you want. You can put your name out there in the hinterlands, however you want to do it. But this is a job interview. Going to a camp or going to OVW in the day was a job interview. So that's what this is. Convincing them this is not fun and games, and we're gonna work out for 3 hours a day or something, and then we're gonna sweep up. We're all gonna do all this grunt work. Then we're gonna about our merry way with our free time. It's not what it's all about. Because we're gonna do this again tomorrow, and the day after, and 3 months from now. Because we have no all season. You're always going to be at practice, unless you're hurt. So they have the expectations, because the guys read, their agents read, they do the research. They see what talents are allegedly earning, Conrad. And, if you want to see how a guy's facial expression is when he's lying, talk to him about money.
Yeah.
Because they're all making more than, they all say they're making more than they actually are, especially if they're negotiating or talking to one of their peers about what's the next material possession I'm going to buy. You can only buy so many sets of boobs for your girlfriends.
Well, maybe we'll put that to the test one day here on the show. But next week, we're going to be talking about WCW Saturday Night, a really cool episode from 1992. Ron Simmons is going to replace Sting for a world title match against Vader. Jake Roberts is going to debut. He's going to attack Sting. Also, Dustin Rhodes takes on Dick Slater. Beautiful Bobby and Arn Anderson team up. George South takes on Flying Brian. Vinny Vegas and DDP team up. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll do it watch-along style. I'm looking forward to watching some 30-year-old wrestling with you next week, Jim. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, 30. God, it's hard to believe.
Yeah. It's
so hard to believe. It's 30 years. But a lot of really unique names you just mentioned that we'll talk about. The time. I was about ready to leave. I wouldn't be there much longer. For me, it was a special time. And I wasn't overtly happy, which largely was, I'll take responsibility for that. Don't bother me to admit when I'm wrong or admit when I'm right. But those are always fun shows. I love those watch-alongs because you see the most obscure little nuggets that we try to retrieve and present to everybody. So it should be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to have a lot of fun this Sunday. I hope you guys will at least check out StarCast on Fight. It's powered by CarShield, and they're allowing us to bring you a whole bunch of really fun stuff this weekend. RickFlairsLastMatch.com has all the details. But what I'm most excited about is not just the panels, not just the meet and greets, not just the roast, but the actual wrestling match itself, Jim. I want to briefly run down the card. We got the Von Erichs taking on the Briscoes for the first time ever. That's tag team wrestling at its finest, Jim. What do you expect to happen there? Von Erichs and Briscoes. You got a prediction?
I think it should be good. I think that there'll probably be a lot of ground and pound.
First time ever. Can't wait to see that one. We've also got a rematch. Killer Cross will have Scarlett Bordeaux in his corner to take on Harry Smith, who we also know as Davey Boy Smith Jr. They've only faced each other one other time. It was Josh Barnett's Bloodsport a few years ago. As you know, Jim, that's not a traditional wrestling match. There's no ropes. It's mostly grappling. This will be a wrestling match. Who do you think has the upper hand here?
Oh, it's hard to say. Boy, I saw pictures recently of Harry. God dang, he's huge. In great shape. He looks almost unbeatable. He reminds me a lot of Josh. It's hard to pick. And both those guys are really good. it's hard to pick against the bigger, stronger, faster, great condition, multi-skilled Harry Smith. I like his game.
AEW fans will be familiar with Clark Connors. He's going to be representing New Japan Pro Wrestling as he takes on Ren Narita. And then we've got an Impact three-way. Rachel Ellering, Jordan Grace, and Deonna Purrazzo. A lot of people think she's one of the best women in the world. The title will be on the line. Something we never thought we would see. Josh Alexander, the Impact champion, defending his title against the longest reigning MLW champion in history, Jacob Fatu. First time ever, never happened before. What do you expect here, man? Jacob
I'm a big
Fatu.
proponent of the future for Jacob Fatu. I think he's going to be a big star someday. He stays healthy, stays sane, makes the right decisions, continues to work on his game. It's going to be hard to turn him back.
We've got a AAA match. They sent 4 of their very best down. There was a 5-way back at the most recent Triple Mania. Meltzer said it was a match of the year candidate, and 4 of those 5 are here. It's Bandito, Laredo Kid, Taurus, and Ray Phoenix, who a lot of people think is one of the best wrestlers in the world. That's going to be an opportunity to steal the show right there, is it not, Jim?
It is. It's great that Tony Khan has been so giving to allow those talents to come work.
Yeah.
I think that's great because, obviously you know better than me. He didn't have to.
No.
And he was happy to because he and I talked about it. Happy to help out the wrestling business. Happy to help out you. And a lot of our talentless AEW guys are dotted throughout your whole presentation in one form or another over the 3 days.
Perhaps no bigger than this. Brian Pillman Jr. and Brock Anderson, the son of Arn Anderson, representing the Four Horsemen with Arn Anderson in their corner, will take on Kerry and Ricky Morton with Robert Gibson in their corner, of course, representing the Rock and Roll Express. All of a sudden, it's 1986 all over again, man. Rock and Rolls and Horsemen. Here we go.
How much fun is that going to be? How much fun is that going to be? Gosh, Ricky and his son, Arn and his son, I'm sure that O'Brien, the ornery as he was, their gravelly voice is looking down. So cool booking. That's very ingenious. I would have a lot of interest in that match if I were the fans. And who's the other team besides Brian and
Ricky Morton and his son Kerry.
Oh yeah, I got them going over.
Oh yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are probably thinking that. I think Arn probably has a game plan of his own though.
Oh sure.
And then we've got the American Wolves, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, a team a lot of people thought was the best tag team in the world 10 years ago. They'll be taking on the other team people talked about that way, the Motor City Machine Guns. This is a real dream match. Unfortunately, a lot of people haven't seen their first match. It happened on an independent show like 10 or 12 years ago, but they're going to hook it up on the big stage. A lot of folks are pumped about that one. But then, of course, it's time for our main event. The Nature Boy himself laces up those boots one last time, promised this time to be the last time, or guaranteed to be the last time based on that promo. But we saw his final match, or so we thought, in 2008. And then he had maybe a rather forgettable finish on Impact. But here it is, him and his son-in-law Andrade trying to defend all that happened in that parking lot at the hands of Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. What do you think happens here, man? There's a lot of
Revenge. Retribution. Flair will get his hand raised. He will be bloody. He will cry, and the fans will be crying as well. It'll be one of the most memorable pro wrestling moments in this generation, and maybe even longer. Should be outstanding. And I thought that the video, I saw the video. You let me look at it a little bit early. It's phenomenal. It gets your attention, gets you fired up. It's old school angle. And again, I'm just so happy that even though I can't be there personally, I am so happy that I can watch it on the Fight app. That's my salvation, FITE.
Absolutely. Watch it on Fight. You can watch it live and on demand. You'll have it from then on. Of course, you can also get it on your cable system or your satellite system. As you heard, unfortunately, Jim won't be there to call Rick's last match, but Tony Schiavone and David Crockett will. It's going to look and feel like 1986 all over again. We hope you guys check it out.
Are they calling the whole show?
The whole show. Now, they will have some help along the way. We're going to have some folks from this company and that company pop in and help them sort of fill the gap on some of these talents. But it's going to be something else, man. And I'm pumped for you guys to see it. I hope you'll check it out. It's RickFlairsLastMatch.com. You can get the entire card for like 30 something bucks. It's RickFlairsLastMatch.com. And it's wrestling history, no matter what. I don't think we'll ever see all these companies work together again like this, but they all came together to celebrate the Nature Boy's very last match. It's going to be something else, Jim.
Yeah, and why not? You know, it's such a great cause, and I'm happy that so many people are pitching in to help out. Talents are going to be, they'll never work an indie show, if you can use that term politely, more memorable than this one. This Sunday night, folks, you can't forget it. And once you see it, you'll never forget it. It's called StarCast for a reason. And I'm proud of you, Conrad, for all your work and your creativity and your vision, your work ethic. And I wish you guys nothing but great success. I know it's going to be successful. I know it is. It's going to be terrific.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I really do. And it won't be the same without you, but hey, maybe we'll get to do this again sometime soon. I don't know what for or how or when, but this is going to be special. I'm glad you're going to be there in spirit, and I'm sure we'll be texting and talking throughout, and hope you guys check it out. It's coming up this weekend, RicFlairsLastMatch.com. And I figure since we've got a little extra time here on the program, we'll go ahead and run episodes 2 and 3 of that docu-series here and let you guys get caught up. And if you want to see episode 1, go check it out over at RicFlairsLastMatch.com. We'll see you next week right here talking all things WCW in 1992 when Ron Simmons saves the day. We'll be back next week right here on Grillin' JR with the voice of wrestling, Mr. Jim Ross.
I want to go buy some barbecue sauce at jrsbarbecue.com. That's what I'm going to do.
Hey, you're going to have that grill fired up to watch Ric Flair's last match at jrsbbq.com. Look at me. I'm so out of the habit. I forgot to talk about that all-purpose seasoning, to talk about that sauce, to talk about the main event mustard. It's all at jrsbbq.com. Hey, it's grilling season. You know why? It's grilling season every day that ends in Y. We'll see you back next week right here on jrsbbq.com presents Grillin' JR.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Conrad, have nothing but a wonderful weekend, and get yourself some sleep.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Remember, chilly sleep.
Oh, I like that. See you guys. I guess you're pretty proud of yourself, huh, Jeff?
You said we're doing a podcast. We're going to do a podcast.
Not because I fucking want to do a podcast, but because I'm contractually obligated. Why is this funny?
We're going to do this podcast, Conrad, and I can assure you, I'm going to say some things today that you don't want to hear about your father-in-law, because everybody glosses over the real Ric Flair. Everybody glosses over the Nature Boy. If you want to go right for the jugular, let's go.
You're a fucking egomaniac who wants to make everything about you. You made sure you inserted yourself in the press conference of Ric Flair. Why the shit were you even there?
Okay, Jeff, you think you know anybody at the mayor's office? Voila, Ric Flair Day.
The mayor's office declared July 31st Ric Flair Day in the Music City.
Hey, can you get a proclamation done? Yeah, mayor's office. Again, happy to. Hey, I don't feel good today. Jeff, can you sit up on the podium and do your job and mine?
And it was supposed to be a day really to celebrate Rick.
Wings! Legendary flavors! World Championship wings! Woo! Woo wings! Yeah! Woo woo!
The one thing about that press conference that was so typical of Rick, he knew that Conrad didn't do it. But yet, I never got so much as, hey Jeff, thanks for your help. Because of his ego, candidly, because he legitimately thinks the world revolves around him.
He doesn't realize how sick he is. He has zero clue how sick he is.
His ego, it's truly at the core of his disease.
He slighted me at the press conference, and backstage, you heard him. He couldn't wait to get on stage to do that.
Here's 2 tickets for Jeff and his dad, front row.
Yeah, drawing money in Nashville. Here's 2 tickets for you and your old man. I'll teach you guys how to draw money. Are you kidding me, Conrad? This feel-good BS, Crockett, we're going to end right, Rick, and he got exactly what he deserved in that parking lot.
In the last 3 or 4 or 5 days, the amount of questions that I've been asked about just how did all this go down? But when Jay Lethal diplomatically asked Rick, is there a place on the card for me? And Rick said, you're an open match guy.
That's disrespectful, and you know it. Could you put yourself in my...
Tell the guy that to his face. You do if you're an egomaniac like Flair.
I just couldn't really believe that Jay, a lot of ways, took matters into his own hands. And David Crockett yelling like a little girl. It caught me so off guard.
Yeah! Somebody! Come on! Hey, get the hell off me! Hey, get your hands off me! Wait, are you kidding me?
Karen, you could tell she was nervous. It just didn't have to happen that way.
Jay, stop! He deserves this! He deserves this! Every second of it!
I knew how he disrespected Lethal. Hell, I knew how he disrespected me for the last 30 years.
But when Jay Lethal punched him in his intestines where his surgeries have been, you would think that he could drop his ego for just a minute and let me help him up.
I said f*** off, Jared! Tired of you and your old man!
When I got down and was face to face with Rick, he was helpless. And I said, Rick, please, let me help you up. And what did he do? He told me to f*** off. I'll just say that I knew that I had to do what I had to do.
You literally stabbed my father-in-law in the head with a high heel shoe. And listen, there's magic in wrestling. No magic, son. What do you do? There should have been police involvement. If Rick wasn't such an old head, you'd be behind bars. That's a crime, Jeff.
You know, Rick came up literally like a little crying bitch. It's a hard way. It's a hard way. Yeah, Rick. No shit.
The biggest mistake you can make is to leave a man with spirit and heart breathing. Because you better believe he will rise up to come again.
Even more motivated now than I was before.
About as real as it fucking gets in life. To be able to wrestle with my son-in-law, who has helped me regain the confidence that I've had beat out of me. And Lethal and Jared, when you guys see this, you guys got nothing in common. You don't even know each other. This is fucking family. This is real. Feel it. And he's a bad motherfucker. And he's my son-in-law.
I don't have words. I don't have words.
Jesus. Seriously.
Well, you realize that you've crossed the line now.
Oh, and I'm glad that I did now.
You know you're double nickels. You ain't what you used to be. Andrade is going to go upside that head.
Oh, God, that's... Listen, Andrade is a dime a dozen, my friend.
Oh, really?
If he ain't a curtain jerker, I don't know who is. Okay. If he wasn't married to who he's married to...
I don't even want to hear that.
I had never even heard of him until he married Charlotte.
Can I tell you something? You know, one of the reasons I like Ashley marrying Manny, because he's a tough motherfucker. This is me really talking to my daughter. I said, Ashley, the guy will stand by your side. He'll protect you. He's fearless. Raised in a tough neighborhood, a tough street. He's a man.
But now, it's about family. I fight for my family. And now, I fight for the family Flair.
Andrade's a goddamn man. A man and a half. Lethal and Jeff Jarrett don't have any idea what they'd have been into. They have no idea.
Gentlemen, please have a seat. Before we make this official, put pen to paper. Do you have any comments you want to make? Mr. Jarrett?
Jay, I'll let you go first. Well, I just want to say that I'm so torn right now inside. I'm hurt only because I know what's about to happen. I know what's ahead, and it's going to be the saddest day of my life, beating the shit my idol. Because you deserve it, okay? You really deserve it, and I'm having a hard time holding it.
This is why I'm here. Yeah, keyword being your idol. Badass.
Who, him? He's here because he married your daughter. That doesn't make him a badass.
Oh, this is why?
Yeah,
I'll show you.
It's the only reason why.
I'll show you.
It's
What
the
are you
only
doing?
reason why.
What do you do in the business?
What
are you doing? Yes,
What have I
tell me.
done? I beat that guy right there on pay-per-view.
Yes.
That's what I've done. He's the best. That makes me the man, right?
Fighting through the pain. He just
Jeff, you need to go ahead and say your comments, please.
Rick, I stood on that platform at the press conference and meant every word that came out of my mouth. It was an honor, it's a prestige to even be associated with this event.
Thank you. I feel the same way.
The whole world has to revolve around you.
You're goddamn right it does. That's why you're here today. Why are you here today?
You're damn right.
You're damn right. You get a payoff.
Guess what?
Me equals a payoff.
It ain't no about a damn payoff, Rick. It's about finally doing what the entire wrestling world has wanted to do for years, and that is put you out of your misery.
You know nothing about my
You
shut up.
Hey.
Shut up! Shut your mouth!
Don't about my life.
Talk about people being here for a paycheck. You're what, 73 years old? That's the only damn reason you're here, because you ran out of money.
Oh no, you're wrong.
Yeah, this is about.
Let's go and finish it.
This is about an in-ring career that's going to come to an end.
Sign this.
Rick, win, lose, or draw, this is it for you. And we're going to find out just how much of the nature boy you still got in you. Yeah.
All right, how do you do it?
All right, Jeff, just sign this, please.
What are you looking at?
A piece of
A man?
I want to make it official.
A man?
Maybe one day
Man?
it would, not
Man.
anymore.
Oh, really?
Not anymore.
Really? I go get my shots every week. Can you write?
Thank you, Jeff.
Oh, that's pretty funny. That's
You
pretty
can read
funny.
right.
He taught you how to wrestle again, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. I did.
Yes, I did.
I did. Couldn't teach him any new tricks, though.
Rick, now it's your turn. Put pen to paper, make it official. Do you have any comments?
No, actually I don't. Richard Famous.
It's comical.
Is it really?
It is.
What's going to be comical? When he and I beat either one of you, which we will, what'll be comedy then?
Do you actually think you can still go?
I do.
You really do?
Absolutely do. Absolutely do.
You think you can hang with me and Jay?
Yeah. I certainly do.
You don't think he's a crutch for you? That he's going to carry the load? And you carried the load a lot of years for a lot of guys, but do you think when it comes down and we hear ding, 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 and the match starts, you think you can carry your load?
I'll make sure my presence is known. You won't be disappointed.
I actually want to see.
Well, yeah, you tell me.
I actually want to see this.
You were training me. What were you saying to me then?
No.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen.
Go ahead and read the text. Go ahead and read the text for me.
Go ahead, read it.
You're
Read
still the man,
out
Rick.
loud.
You're still the man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's what I said that to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because you're an egomaniac.
Oh,
That's
really?
why. And I wanted to keep getting those
Thank you
checks.
very much.
I wanted to keep getting those checks.
It is official. Please leave calmly.
You should be
Please.
paying me to come over there.
Yeah.
I put it on the map.
Let's go.
Rick.
All right,
Let's go.
Now, your last match
Stop engaging.
will be the
Stop.
match that you regret the most out of your entire career.
16-time professional wrestling world champion and cultural icon Ric Flair will wrestle one last time.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say, like maybe to Rick to wish him luck for the match?
Rick, from the Russian Nightmare to the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Hey, Rick, on a serious note, dude, I pray for you, for real. I want you to know that, as do many others. I wish you well in this final match.
Well, when I think of professional wrestling, I think of Ric Flair. Ric Flair is absolutely my favorite wrestler of all time. Tough, strong, smart, and puts on a great show.
Rick, good luck. We had some good years together.
I love you. Take care of yourself. Piss on the rest of them.
Rick, I hope it goes well for you. I'll be pulling for you, and I hope to see you sometime in the future. But for now, so long for now.
Hey, Rick, my husband is going to knock the shit out of you on Sunday.
Champ, I love you, brother. I wish you all the luck in the world, and I pray you don't get hurt. You are the king of wrestling. I will always call you the champ. I hope to God this is the best thing you can do, and it works out well in your favor. And God bless you and your family, brother. God bless you.
Well, I guess I saw his first match, so I guess I might as well see his last match.
We thought we could do this reunion or match event in a civil way. It's gotten totally out of hand.
Rick got exactly what he deserved.
Hey, get your hands off it! Oh, yeah! Give me your suit! Yeah. Give me your suit! Yeah. Does this look like a four horseman right here? How's he look now? How's he look now? I love you, you son of a... I love you!
This is fucking family. This is real. You, Jeff Jarrett, is an active alcoholic. You don't know nothing about my
reason you're here, because you ran out of money!
The baddest Mexican alive today!
This is about as real as it gets.
With a tear in my eye,
I'm gonna kick your ass.
Woo! One man! Forever!
But a man's got to do what a man's got to do.
Jim Crockett Promotions presents Ric Flair's Last Match, July 31st at the Nashville Municipal Auditorium. StarCast Weekend in Nashville, bringing wrestling companies together for one of the most unique cards ever assembled. Main evented by Ric Flair's Last Match. Tickets are on sale right now at RicFlairsLastMatch.com, and you can catch the show live streaming on pay-per-view and Fight TV for only $34.99. Ric Flair's Last Match. Walk in that aisle one more time for the last time.
Rick, do you have anything to say to expensive car repair?
They don't stand a chance against the money-saving roadside assistant, Car Shield, and Slick Rick. They better learn their ABCs, because we're always bringing Car Shield. Woo! Woo!
The roast to Ric Flair, you kidding me? It's the Nature Boy. What are they going to say? I am... Woo! The man! Okay? You say what you want to say. Just remember at the end of the night, when all is said and done, I get to talk about you. Woo! The roast to Ric Flair. Woo! Look at his old action. Look.
Titus and Tate, a podcast from two obsessed basketball lovers.
Twitter's a place for losers. I think the same thing about podcasting. I think you and I are losers. We podcast. We know we're losers. Most podcasts, you and I are doing it right now, are done over Zoom. I'm not even wearing pants right now. It's like
you're not wearing pants.
We're back to where we started, where you're just like kind of sitting in your mom's basement.
We used to wear pants when we did podcasts. We've definitely gone downhill.
More than just analysts and stats. Titus and Tate. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. And stats. Titus and Tate. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.